Hi everybody, Brian Rathbone from Broadband Catalysts, and in this video we're going to learn how to install and configure QGIS, a free open source geographic information system that you can use to create great maps. If you go to QGIS.org, on the main page there will be a download now button. If you'll click that, it's detected in this case that I'm using Windows and it's recommended to me the very latest version, QGIS 3.36. If you're looking for the absolute most stable experience, you can grab 3.34, which is the current long-term release. And if for any reason you're using Mac OS or Linux or BSD, you can scroll down and get installation and download instructions for your specific operating system. In my case, I'm going to go ahead and download the QGIS 3.36 installer, which I've already pulled down. I've got that, and I ran through the installer and accepted all of the defaults, so I'm not going to make you watch me walk through that install. But once that installation is complete, it will create a QGIS folder on your desktop, and in there will be an icon for QGIS Desktop, which I've pulled out to my desktop here just to make it easy to get into. So we'll go ahead and double click that to launch it. And we're presented with the main QGIS interface. So I'm just going to bring up a demo project that currently doesn't have anything in it. But the first thing that I recommend doing is installing some great plugins that will help make for a nicer user experience. In order to do that, you go to the Plugins menu and go Manage and Install Plugins. In this case, there are some pre-installed plugins. You see I've got some already in here, but I'm going to go over to All, and I'm going to search for the first highly recommended plugin, which is the OSM Place Search. OSM stands for OpenStreetMap, and the place search allows you to geocode, which basically means you can type in an address, and as long as it detects the address, it will allow you to go directly to that location. So to install that plugin, I'm going to type in OSM Place, and we'll see the OSM Place Search plugin. When I click on that, it brings up the information panel on that, and I have an Install Plugin button. So I'm just going to go ahead and click that. That has installed the plugin, and you can see this new box has appeared down on the bottom left of my screen. And if I wanted to go to, say, Duval County, Florida, for example, I can type that in the search bar, hit go. And of course, you have to close this window first, but you can hit go. And you'll see it found Duval County, Florida. And I can double click that, and it will load it in the interface. So that's the first plugin. Let's go back to our Manage and Install Plugins. And the next plugin that we're going to install is called QuickMapServices, which includes a lot of great base maps. So once I have the QuickMapServices, and if I'm not mistaken, it's all one word. There it is. So we've got the QuickMapServices, so we'll click on that and click Install Plugin. Now that that plugin is installed, when we go up and look under Web, we'll see this QuickMapServices, and it gives us all kinds of options for base maps. In this particular case, I'm going to go to the OpenStreetMaps, and I'm going to grab the OpenStreetMap Standard, which will give us a base map. So I'm going to click on that. Now we have a base map, and we can then zoom in on a spot in the United States, and now we've got our OpenStreetMaps base map. Very helpful. So the next plugin that we're going to install, we'll go back to Plugins and Manage and Install Plugins, and we're going to install mmqgis, which has a collection of really useful functionalities, and I tend to use this one a lot, so I'm going to install that. Once that's installed, I can close this. I can come over to, it makes its own menu item. mmqgis, and the two most commonly used features that I use in here is combine, which allows me to merge layers together, but more importantly is this geocode function. So if you want to use the Google Maps API or another geocoder that you can feed addresses into QGIS and have it convert them to points using latitude and longitude, using this Geocode CSV with web service is a really great way to do that. It does require you to have an API key for some of these services. I tend to use Google and use my Google API key, and you basically grab your CSV, tell it which field has the address, city, state, and country in it, which service you're going to use and which API key, and run it, and it will geocode your address data. Very, very useful. The next plugin that we're going to install is the coordinate capture plugin, which allows us to grab the latitude and longitude for any spot that we click on the map. So there's our coordinate capture. I'm going to double click that, click install plugin. Now that that's installed, this is the button for the coordinate capture. We can click on that, and down here we can click on this to set the CRS, start capture. Click here. If I want to know the latitude and longitude for this particular spot, you can see it has now filled out my latitude and longitude. So very useful tool. The next plugin that we're going to install is going to be the Street View. This one is not perfect, but it's so useful that I tend to use it all the time in spite of its shortcomings. So we're going to put in Street View. And here's our Street View plugin. We're going to install that. Now that that's installed, we get our little Street View icon up here on the map. Now I'm going to zoom in somewhere where I should be able to see the roads a little bit better. Let's say we went to Goldsboro and we wanted to see what was happening here along Wayne Memorial Drive. We can click on our Street View icon and then click on that road, and it's going to open a browser window and show us the street view of that location. And this is super helpful, but the main problem with it is that if you click on a location where there's no street view information, say you didn't click on a road, it's probably just going to come up with a black screen and tell you there's no street view information for there. So it does take a little bit of getting used to, but I just find this super helpful. So the next plugin that we're going to install is the QGIS to web plugin, which lets you take your web map that you've created and export it to a simple web map, which is an extremely useful functionality. So we're going to go over to plugins. We're going to go to the manage and install, and we're going to type in QGIS, the number 2, and web. And there we see our QGIS to web plugin. We're going to install that. This plugin has quite a few options when you use it. So you would create a map, and then when you're ready, you go to Web, QGIS to Web, Create Web Map, and walk through these dialogues. I'm not going to walk through these today because that's a bit beyond the scope of this video, but I can tell you that this produces some very useful web maps as long as the geography is limited. If you're trying to map the entire United States with a complex data set, odds are this function isn't going to work very well. But if you just wanted to produce a web map of your county, maybe your community anchor institutions or something along those lines, this tool is going to do a great job, and you'll likely be as happy with it as I have been. So that is everything for our initial setup and configuration of QGIS. I hope you found this video helpful, and I hope you have a great day.